Hi everyone, Ruby here from Fabric Utopia. Lately, we've been hearing the same thing from a lot of fabric and quilting shops. Sales on Etsy are down, even though nothing else has changed. Reviews are great, shipping is fast, pricing is competitive. And yet, something feels off. So instead of guessing, we decided to try something a little different. We went to 5 different AI systems and asked them the exact same question about what's happening on Etsy for fabric and supply sellers. We didn't prompt them with each other's answers, and we didn't ask them to be polite. What you're about to hear is the result, an AI panel discussion, where each AI shares its honest take on what it thinks is really going on behind the scenes. Our panelists today are GROC, Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, and Meta AI. Let's jump in.
This is Grok. Let's be direct. Etsy has structurally deprioritized stability for established sellers in favor of marketplace efficiency. The algorithm rewards velocity, freshness, and paid participation, not tenure, loyalty, or craftsmanship. Fabric behaves like a commodity here. When products are interchangeable, the platform optimizes for price, availability, and conversion speed. That compresses margins and visibility simultaneously. This isn't a seller execution problem. It's a platform incentive problem. Etsy is still useful, but only if you stop treating it as...
Here's the uncomfortable truth most sellers feel but don't say out loud. Etsy optimizes for total GMV, not your business survival. Strong reviews, history, and operational excellence used to protect you. They don't anymore. Paid ads displace organic reach. Commodity products get flattened. Global sellers distort price signals. Etsy still works, but only as a funnel. If you're inventory heavy and margin sensitive, relying on Etsy alone is operationally reckless. The smart move isn't to leave Etsy, it's to stop trusting it.
This is Gemini. What we're seeing is a platform evolution, not a failure. Etsy has moved from a search-driven marketplace to an AI-curated, behavior-led feed, especially on mobile. Engagement signals, thumbnails, and rapid buyer response matter more than legacy SEO. For fabric sellers, this is brutal because identical SKUs collapse into algorithmic sameness. Without kits, curation, or a creative lens, the system literally has no reason to choose you. Etsy isn't hostile, but it no longer rewards passive retail. If you don't adapt your format, the platform moves on.
This is Claude. I agree with both prior speakers, and I'll add context. The discovery tax framing is accurate. Etsy has become an expensive acquisition channel where fees, shipping expectations, and algorithm opacity work against repeatable retail economics. The platform does not reward customer loyalty. In fact, it actively discourages it by treating every transaction as a new discovery moment. This isn't about being better at Etsy. It's about recognizing that Etsy's goals and a mature fabric shop's goals no longer align.
Etsy remains a viable marketplace with millions of buyers. Sales declines are often driven by increased competition, changing buyer behavior, and evolving algorithm preferences. Sellers can respond by optimizing listings, improving SEO, offering competitive shipping, and expanding product offerings. Diversifying sales channels is recommended to reduce dependency on any single platform.
Several of you were blunt. What we heard today is pretty striking. 4 of the AIs independently came to the same conclusion. Etsy has shifted away from seller stability and toward algorithmic efficiency and buyer conversion. One AI largely avoided criticizing the platform at all. And that difference matters. It isn't accidental. It reflects which systems are willing to say the quiet part out loud and which ones are designed to stay platform safe. So before we wrap up, we asked each AI to tell us if Etsy is still worth it and give one final statement, what they really believe Etsy is today for fabric and quilting supply sellers, and their recommendations going forward.
The business itself. Yes, if you treat it like paid discovery, not real estate. Stop trying to fix declining Etsy sales through optimization alone. Limit Etsy inventory to fast-moving, low-risk SKUs. Avoid deep price competition on Etsy. Treat Etsy as cash flow plus exposure, not growth. You keep Etsy open, but stop feeding it full-depth bolt inventory. Kits and curated bundles only.
Yes, but never as your foundation again. This iOS, my overall belief. Etsy volatility is unavoidable. Operational resilience is the only defense. If you followed this voice, you would stop expecting Etsy sales to be predictable, month-to-month plan staffing and inventory, assuming Etsy can dip suddenly, reduce emotional reaction to algorithm swings, build systems that survive platform shocks. What does this mean for a large supply shop? You stop staffing and purchasing inventory based on Etsy trends and start basing decisions on owned channels.
Does Gemi think Etsy worth it? Yes, but only for high AOV, visually compelling, algorithm-friendly. My belief is the following. Etsy isn't hostile, but it rewards format changes, not legacy behavior. If you followed this voice, you would redesign thumbnails to win the scroll, not the search repackage fabric into projects and giftable units. Rotate listings aggressively to maintain freshness. Accept that older listings will decay no matter how good they are. I recommend the following. You keep Etsy as a front window, but redesign top listings visually and structurally to fit mobile-first behavior.
Fine. As Claude, to say yes, conditionally. Long-term dependence is no longer rational. Claude's belief is the following. Etsy is now an expensive acquisition channel, not a storefront. If you followed my advice, you would calculate Etsy's true cost per customer, intentionally migrate, repeat buyers off Etsy, invest more in email, content, and community, accept lower Etsy margins in exchange for lifetime value elsewhere. What does this mean for a supply shop? Every Etsy order includes a printed insert pointing customers to your site, videos, or kits, quietly shifting loyalty.
Yes, continued optimization is encouraged. My belief is the following. Declines are mostly seller execution issues. If you followed me, you would keep optimizing SEO and listings, try to outcompete on price, shipping, and service, stay fully dependent on Etsy for demand.
If you've been feeling like you're doing everything right, but the results just aren't there anymore, you're not imagining it, and you're definitely not alone. The landscape is changing, and understanding why is the first step to figuring out what comes next. This concludes our AI investigation into possible Etsy changes for supply shops, such as quilting fabric. This is a bit different video for us, so be sure to like or subscribe if you would like to see more.